Right, let's get straight into this explainer and break down the absolute most crucial updates to the new Volkswagen Taigun facelift. Now look, we are not just going to sit here and read off a boring spec sheet today. We're actually pulling data straight from an extreme, real-world test drive from Udaipur to Jaipur. We're going to unpack exactly what this facelift brings to the table, both inside and out, and honestly, what really matters, how it actually feels on the road when you push it to its absolute limits.
But to truly understand the impact of these mechanical upgrades, we've got to set the stage. Picture this for a second. You are out in the sweltering Rajasthan heat, driving through literal dust storms, and the thermometer is hovering around an unforgiving 44 degrees Celsius. I mean, at a standstill, the car's display was actually reading 48 degrees. This isn't just a casual Sunday drive. This is a high-stakes environment where every single mechanical flaw gets magnified, and every comfort feature is put to the ultimate test.
And that extreme heat perfectly illustrates a tiny but incredibly vital feature for surviving those brutal temperatures. The key fob itself looks pretty much the same, but the functionality, it's been tweaked in a really smart way. If you press and hold the unlock button, the driver's side window rolls down and the sunroof tilts open. Basically, it throws the car into a fresh air mode, pushing out all that trapped, scorching oven-like air before you even step inside. On the flip side, just hold the lock button and it seamlessly seals everything right back up, including the sunshade. It's a real game changer.
Moving along to Section 1, Exterior Design Updates. Subtle, but definitely impactful.
So the front end is where you'll spot the most noticeable changes. Headlamps are now standard across all the variants, which is great. But what's really interesting here is they completely removed the traditional front fog lamps. Instead, Volkswagen integrated all-weather lights right into the main headlamp unit. This is actually a signature feature straight from the Audi VW group. They illuminate the near-ground area beautifully, making it way easier for oncoming traffic to see you during heavy rain or dust storms. Oh, and you also get illuminated VW logos on the front and back, plus those super slick sequential rear turn indicators that just add a nice premium vibe.
All right, let's jump to Section 2, Cabin and Comfort Changes.
Look, when you're dealing with 44-degree heat, interior comfort isn't just a luxury, right? It's an absolute necessity. So the biggest win for summer driving here is the addition of legally allowed factory-tinted windows. It is a massive relief when the sun is just beating down on you. The multi-information display, or MID, has also been updated to be a bit less complicated to flip through. That being said, the core elements are pretty much untouched. For example, that thick A-pillar still creates a bit of a blind spot, and the overall seating ergonomics haven't really shifted. But honestly, since those are baked into the core chassis, you really wouldn't expect them to change during a mid-cycle facelift anyway.
Okay, which brings us to the elephant in the room. If you are at all familiar with the older Taigun, you know owners had one major, incredibly frustrating complaint during the summer. So, did the introduction of this new 8-speed gearbox finally fix that infamous AC issue? Let's look at the numbers.
The crucial point is right here. With the old 6-speed transmission, the AC would bizarrely just cut off if you dropped below 1200 RPM, and again if you pushed above 3500 RPM. In creeping, stop-and-go traffic under a blazing sun, it was an absolute nightmare. But by swapping that out for the new 8-speed automatic, that weird RPM dependency is totally gone. The AC compressor now handles creeping, 44-degree gridlock flawlessly, without annoyingly shutting off on you. It is a massive, massive upgrade for daily driving comfort. Now, if you're secretly hoping this new 8-speed transmission magically turns the Taigun into some fuel-sipping hybrid, well, you kind of need to adjust your expectations. While it heavily improves engine smoothness and cuts down on long-term mechanical stress, it really only boosts fuel efficiency by about 1 single kilometer per liter. You can expect roughly 10 to 11 in the city and maybe 15 to 17 on the highway. So the real upgrade you're getting here is longevity and shifting refinement, not drastic savings at the pump.
Let's shift gears to Section 3, the 1.5-liter engine experience.
For anyone out there focused heavily on performance and actual driver engagement, the 1.5-liter four-cylinder engine pushing 150 PS and 250 Newton-meters of torque is where the real magic happens. This perfectly illustrates the choice you have to make based on what kind of driver you are. If you're navigating heavy city traffic day in and day out, the 1.0-liter with the 8-speed torque converter is going to give you that stress-free, buttery, smooth comfort. But if you want sheer driving pleasure, instant overtaking power, and a seriously satisfying deep engine note, the 1.5-liter paired with the dual-clutch transmission, the DCT, is vastly superior. It just responds instantly the second your foot hits the pedal. And you know what makes that 1.5-liter so brilliant? Its duality. It smartly balances all that aggressive power with efficiency by literally deactivating 2 of its cylinders when you don't need the extra juice. This is incredibly effective if you're cruising in that 60 to 70 kilometers per hour sweet spot. If you drive it gently on the highway, it actually rewards you with a surprisingly impressive 18 to 19 kilometers per liter. It's basically power when you need it and efficiency when you don't.
Let's keep things real for Section 4. Objective transparency, the drawbacks. Impartially speaking, we did find a few gripes during the test. On patchy roads, the suspension still makes a pretty noticeable thud over sharp potholes. Inside, if the cabin flexes a bit, you might catch some faint creaking, and the cooling fan for the wireless charging pad is audibly whirring away. More importantly for safety though, the new auto-leveling headlights actually tend to throw the low beam a bit too near the car at highway speeds. You'll probably want to get a manual adjustment done at the service center for better nighttime visibility. Oh, and they left this slightly ugly, unfinished bracket on the dash right where the old manual headlight leveler used to sit. I guess you could look at it as a DIY opportunity to mount your phone, right?
And that brings us to Section 5, the final verdict.
So bringing all of this data, the extreme heat testing and the mechanical deep dive together, the updates, especially that AC fix and the new 8-speed gearbox, are fantastic. They are highly recommended. However, when you look at the price point, which can hit up to 22 lakhs on-road for the top-end models, you really have to weigh your options. Feature by feature, its sibling, the Skoda Kushaq, might actually offer slightly better overall value for money in certain variants. The absolute best takeaway here, aggressively compare the two at the dealership and hunt for those ongoing offers before you sign anything.
So we're going to leave you with this final thought. The Taigun Facelift successfully tackles its biggest historical flaw while holding on to its 5-star safety and really solid build quality. But knowing how completely differently these two powertrains behave, which one actually belongs in your garage? Will you choose the refined, stress-free city comfort of the 1.0-liter, or will you surrender to the pure, instant driving pleasure of the 1.5-liter? You've got the data, you know the facts, now it's time for a test drive. Thanks so much for joining us on this explainer, and we will catch you on the next one.